Okay, we'll call to order the final public trim compliance hearing on fiscal year 2025, 2026 taxes and budget on Monday, September 15th. We do a roll call.
Commissioner Ernst?
Yes.
Commissioner Engel?
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins?
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang?
Here.
Commissioner Wright?
Yes. Okay, go ahead and do our presentation. Okay.
We're going to put a few graphics on the board while I read through the presentation of our budget, which is in our agenda packets. Am I good? All right, so the district has revenues that come in on 3 different categories. We have cash balance brought forward. We collect property taxes. And keep in mind, the district incorporates the city of Boca Raton as well as areas in unincorporated parts of Boca Raton out to the turnpike. We also have other revenues with interest, charges for park fees and services. So our cash balance brought forward is $38,556,400. Keep in mind, a big portion of that was the savings we've been putting aside for the North Park development. As far as taxes, we expect to collect ad valorem taxes would be $48,441,000. Delinquent ad valorem taxes would be $20,000. We expect to take $2,500,000 in interest, $2,900,000 for park fees and services. Our special interest activities is $2,700,000. School district cooperative funding is $20,000 that the school district gives us to offset the expenses at Don Estridge, which are much more than that. We have the North Park reserve money. As you recall, we paid off the bond this year using money that was left over. So we're moving that revenue that we had set aside to pay off that bond, $9,500,000. Resources forward is $1,342,000, and then other, sometimes we get different money, so we're expecting to get about $1,000 of other. So our total revenues come in at $67,424,000. Estimated revenues and balances with this is $105,980,400. So we also have a number of park expenses and expenditures. We give the city of Boca Raton for operation and maintenance of our parks as well as the parks that we fund for them, $21,023,600. We give them money for special interest activities, $2,869,800. Another $2,944,700. Those are in admin and overhead fees. We have city capital projects, $2,830,200. We have capital projects that have been rebudgeted to this next fiscal year at $1,684,000. And then, of course, the Florida Atlantic University Fields rental is $400,000. You can see a breakdown on the screen of some of these expenses. We also have reserve funds set aside. I'm sorry, we have district capital expenses. Let me go through those. The North Park project is $22,500,000. Patch projects, we have $5,400,000 set aside. We have other capital projects at $1,720,000. Sugar Sand Park is going to have $8,050,000 in capital projects. That includes money set aside for the redesign of the second field house. We have a beach renourishment sinking fund. We always transfer $300,000 into that. We are on the hook for 50% of all beach renourishment projects. We're anticipating a large one. So this money gets moved to our reserve fund. Our general government expenses, that is what we pay for our property insurance, staff, lawyers, advertising, communications, $3,390,500. And of course, my favorite is our contribution to this community redevelopment agency downtown. That's sarcasm for those who don't know my long history with the CRA. We will have to pay as part of the statutory requirement, $3,150,000 to the CRA. Our total expenditures and expenses is $76,262,800. We also have some, well, I was there, wasn't I? We also have some reserve funds. We have our beach renourishment sinking fund of $3,822,300. We are setting aside $20 million for major capital projects. That is for after we design this year the field house and we design DeHornley Phase 2, we will have $20 million set aside to work on both of those projects and start construction of them the following fiscal year. We also have an operating reserve of $2 million, and then our other capital projects reserve fund would be $3,895,300, and our total appropriated expenditures and reserves would be $105,980,400. So this is just a breakdown of our total expenses and expenditures up on the screen. And then that's our budget summary that you all had in your agenda packets as well. And if there are no questions, I would turn it over to Mr. Gorin to read resolution into the record.
Anybody have any questions?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Mr. Vaughn?
Thank you, Madam Chair and Commissioners. If you will, tonight's proceeding is governed by state law. This is your trim compliance, second public hearing on both millage and budget as required by section 200.065 of the Florida statutes. The district has properly notified, noticed, published, et cetera, those required obligations under state statute. There are two resolutions that you'll hear momentarily, one of which relates to adopting the millage rate, which allows for a public hearing, and then the budget that follows under the second resolution, which is essentially charged by the millage rate that you otherwise would consider for approval this evening. Those two documents, once approved by the district board, would then be sent to the Department of Revenue and to the property appraiser and other governmental agencies to perfect your 2025-2026 fiscal year budget. And for the record, Madam Chair, if I may, the first resolution which establishes the millage reads as follows. It's resolution number 2025-08. It's a resolution of the Greater Boca Raton Beach and Park District of Palm Beach County, Florida, adopting the final levying of ad valorem taxes for the Greater Boca Raton Beach and Park District of Palm Beach County for fiscal year 2025-2026 and providing for an effective date. The material contents have been described briefly by the executive director, but for the record, the fiscal year 2025-2026 final operating millage rate is 1.08 mils, which is greater than the rollback rate of 1.0302 mils by 4.83%. Number two, there is no voted debt service millage. And number three, the resolution, when it's considered by the board and considered, will take effect upon its adoption as required by state statute. And that is the answer for the record. That's the resolution on the table for consideration by both the chair, by the board, and by members of the public who came to comment on the proposed millage rate. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Move to approve resolution number 2025-08 concerning our millage rate.
Second?
You will.
It's after. Oh, before.
Public hearing is open.
Okay.
Yes. When I open the resolution, the public hearing is open for the chair's benefit and the public. When
Okay.
you're legally good to go.
Okay.
Yes.
Do roll call.
Okay.
But the public has a right to be heard,
Right.
should they choose to do so.
Let us know when public comment is.
We can do it after the fact. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Before you adopt the resolution.
Right.
Yep.
Do it-
Yep.
Do it now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. We'll open it to public comment. We should have done that before the resolution was read. So we'll go ahead and do that. Please state your name, your address, and you have 3 minutes.
Hello, Robert Duque, 5351 Northwest Third Terrace. Looks like that the golf course that we originally planned would have been a bargain compared to what we see here at 22.5 million for just 1/3 of that property. I would hope that the district would consider spending money on the west portion and not have RFP or 3Ps for that whole property. I have a question on the major capital projects reserved for 20 million. What is that going to be for?
Well, that's for two projects. There's 10 million set aside for the construction of DeHornley Phase 2, which is the athletic fields that we need and new parking out there. And then the other 10 million was set aside because we're going to redo another gymnasium, building a second field house.
Okay.
So that money, just like we did North Park, we've been setting aside money every year so we could finally construct it. That's starting to set aside money for those two projects.
Does the district have any legal obligation to spend $10 million on property they don't own at DeHornley Phase 2?
We don't have a legal obligation to spend that money, but we have an obligation to the people that play recreation in the city. Right now, we're renting fields from FAU, and those fields are not going to last. They're probably not going to renew that agreement beyond 2030 because campus is growing. And so we will have a lot of soccer players with no place to play soccer. So we could certainly build those fields out at North Park. That's our other option if it doesn't work at DeHornley. The other green space we have is right there at Boca Chica.
Well, it seemed like the one primary question I had was the district versus the city
Mhm.
budgeting for this. And the district doesn't own the property versus the city owns the property. So it would make sense that the city would pay for improvements on their property, whereas you pay for improvements on your property.
Yeah, we've tried to work with the city in the past to get them to start going on Phase 2. And this has been years making because we knew that this timeline with FAU is going to run out. There was back in 2016, this board had a joint meeting with city council at that time. And they said, city council, we will start funding beach renourishment at 50%. And you let us build Phase 2 of DeHornley Park. And we did all the things that we said we would do. And the city did not follow through on their end. Instead, they sent us a master and a local agreement that was not a good agreement. It actually negated their fiduciary responsibilities by the statute. So that was rejected wholeheartedly. In the meanwhile, we've been continuing to rent fields from FAU. We've been continuing to subsidize recreation in the city, and we need a space for these athletic fields. So there's two choices right now where we could build athletic fields. It's at North Park or it's at DeHornley Park. Right now, people like DeHornley because there's already some parking there. You already have soccer there, so why not just keep all the soccer fields together in that one area? Makes the most sense. Is the city going to get to it? Probably not. I'm just being candid here.
Right, no,
We've been waiting for 10 years for them to get to it, and they haven't gotten to it. And this board has always been committed to the recreation in the city. They've always been committed to youth sports. They have always met the needs of whether it's baseball that wants batting cages, or it's the what's the new soccer one that they play on the ground with the futsal. They want a surface to play futsal. This board has always shown up for these groups when they needed it. We fought the CRA years ago because our money hasn't been used to improve recreation down there the way it's supposed to be for all these years, these 30 years that the CRA has been in existence. We fought that. Nobody came out there to fight for that, but this board kept fighting. I kept pushing for it. And so we can wait for the city to do it, but we're going to run out of wait time. We're going to wait and wait and wait, and it's not going to happen. So this board has committed to recreation in the city, and that's why they put it on our budget to do it, because we serve the community.
so the city put it on your budget to do it.
Well, no, we
partners with
opted to
them.
do it. We opted to do it because it needs to get done, and it's not going to get done by the city, just to be frank. Hasn't gotten done, hasn't moved anywhere. And at some point, there's going to be a bunch of soccer players standing in here saying we have nowhere to play soccer.
No, I agree full-heartedly that phase two needs to be done. Just a matter of, I still don't understand, obviously, why necessarily you're doing it, but obviously you clarified that, and it's going to get done. It's going to be done by you. Maybe you should withhold $3.1 million that you're paying for the CRA. And I mean,
Mr.
withhold
Duque,
that 10 million.
I have tried every way, and you can even ask the city. I've said, hey, why don't we reallocate that CRA money to all these other recreation projects we're doing? It's a statutory obligation that we have. They don't have to let us out of it. You may recall the time when me and our attorney went over there and we did a public hearing, and they had already decided before they even, in my opinion, they had already decided before they even heard us how they were going to vote. And they voted not to let us out of that CRA obligation. They voted to keep taking our money and putting it towards the downtown plan. Do I think that it was put towards recreation? No. That's why you have softball fields that were never improved. That's why you have a skate park that's outdated and dilapidated. That's why you have a community center falling apart. And I know that these aren't things that we should be saying because the city is our partner. But if you look at the recreation down there, it's not what compares to our parks and our facilities. And this board has always stood by the people recreating in this community.
Thank you. And I want to give you compliments on your traffic garden. I see people out there all the time.
Oh, good.
I would actually suggest that you might consider putting your pump track right next to it, because obviously those kids that age would then go from the traffic garden to the pump track or vice versa. But there's people out there every day with their kids, not only biking, but the only thing I would say is I don't see anybody wearing helmets. I was surprised to see a little girl out there yesterday skating without even knee pads and falling down repeatedly, and they were laughing. So that's good. They weren't hurt, but that's been a very big success. Thank you.
Thank you.
John Perlman, 498 Northeast 8th Street. So the Beach and Parks District, as I'm learning now, is in such a dire financial state that it needs to now raise taxes on the citizens, that they don't have enough money. With $100 million at their disposal, they need more money. The city, so currently the Beach and Parks District owns Sugar Sand Park. That land is very, very valuable. That's the asset of the Beach and Parks District. You are going to be building, the city's going to be building a large facility relating to the government campus. They've branded it publicly as a replacement of their city fields. Why isn't the Beach and Parks District charging them? They should buy this land and pay. They should be paying. They should be, because the Beach and Parks District funds improvements on the city's property. Now the city is coming and taking your land to build fit baseball facilities to replace the ones they're losing. And wait, let me just finish because I only have 3 minutes and then because I have a few questions. They're going to take this land to replace the loss of their own fields. They need to pay the Greater Parks and Beach. They need to pay the Greater Beach and Parks District for use of that land. Because as is evident here, you're running out of money. You're now going to tax everybody a lot more. That land, we should get an appraisal of that land, see what it's worth. And if they want to use it, if they want city residents to use those fields, lease it to them or sell it to them. Secondly, as you mentioned, Ms. Harms, there's been sightings of gopher tortoises on Sugar Sand Park. Yeah, and they're a protected species. Given that you are the owner of the Sugar Sand Park, have you been working with the Florida Wildlife Commission to do a site survey, a site analysis of Tract A, a thorough one, to see where the gopher tortoises are? Because if not, you're the owner, you're responsible for them as the owner of the land to ensure their safety and preservation. So have you done that? I'd like to know. And again, I want to use my time fully. So we need to know that. Wait, let me just finish. We need to know that. We need to know if the gopher tortoises, if there's been a thorough Florida Wildlife Commission on the land that you own, because you're responsible for them. Lastly, I'd like to know on an annual basis, a daily basis, a monthly basis, how you interface with the state of Florida, because they have authority over you. The governor has the ability to come in and replace any of these commissioners at will. I'd like to know how on a daily, on a monthly, on an annual basis, you interface and work with the state. Thank you.
Do you want me to answer the gopher tortoise?
Go ahead.
We haven't done a gopher tortoise study recently out there. We have not done a gopher tortoise study recently. When the city goes through this, just like any process, they're going to have to do that study. We're not paying for that. The city would pay for that process when they build the softball fields, if they go through with that. So we have not. As far as interacting with the state, we file all of our trim notices, all of our stuff through their website. I guess, I mean, we follow all the mandates and legislation and post things and do our audits and report, file all of our reportings. Yeah.
This organization is a creature of the legislature. You were established in 1974. There's been 6 amendments filed since that time, the last of which was in 2003, which has essentially restated the prior obligations of the district. You are a reporting special independent district to Tallahassee every year. This organization, this special district entity, is under the jurisdiction of the state of Florida on a consistent daily basis, period. And does the governor have authority over you? The governor has authority over any public entity, quite frankly. But the basis for suspension, removal, matters such as that type are governed by state statutes that are by no means close in any way, shape, or form to what's being discussed this evening. The end result is that this organization, this special act, independent district, has been performing consistent with the statute since we've been your lawyers, as far as I can tell, without any objection. And each of you, as required by state law, required to take an annual ethics class for 4 hours, which is certified to the states, part of your disclosure. You file Form 1 disclosures, which is required by state statute. You are under the review on a consistent and constant basis of the state, not just the governor's office, but the Department of Commerce, and also any other entity of state government that has reviewing opportunities of this organization. So I have no issue with regard to what you're doing and how you're doing it.
Thank you.
Without debating anyone from the public, and I appreciate the fact that they've raised the issue, but the end result is that you're acting consistent with Florida statute. You wouldn't be sitting here but for that fact, just for reference. And by the way, you all take an oath of office, and your charters, strike that, your commissions are on the wall. And you take the oath of office, you're beholden to the state of Florida, under the Constitution and laws of Florida. Not just those of Palm Beach County, not just those of the city of Boca Raton, but of the state and the Constitution. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam.
Yes, ma'am.
Anybody else have any comments? Go ahead, Kevin.
Can I ask a follow-up? Because there was one you missed one question.
What was the
I was
question?
going to say before I start, you had a third
Yeah.
question that John had asked, which was,
Yeah.
is there any way that the city could pay you for
Oh.
the land? But that's not my other, that's not.
Well, we are not.
See what it is real quick.
We're in our statute, we're not allowed to buy or sell or lease our property, so we could not buy it to this, we could not sell it to the city. The thing that we do is we serve the same residents that play softball, whether they play downtown or they play at our fields. And so those same residents have a need, and this board represents those people too. So that's why we try to work with the city on meeting all the recreational needs.
If, just to ask a question, and this might help you a little bit. The city, should these fields be built, the city will be paying for the construction of the fields in total. Am I correct?
All the construction permitting, they have to go through whatever environmental assessments, tree relocations, all that stuff. Yes.
Okay.
It's in the agreement, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Contractual I'm sorry for the interruption. It's a
No.
contractual obligation. Fees, costs and expenses. It's not, it's without cost or expense to the district.
Okay, Kathy.
I have-
Sorry, well, you have to go to the podium, but let Kathy go ahead.
Yeah, this is my last follow-up. Yeah. My question is, if you're the owner of Sugar Sand Park, the Beach and Parks District, you're under the obligation as the owner to do a study for the gopher tortoises, and therefore, why haven't you? And why are you saying that the city is responsible for that? I'm not saying specifically, but I'm saying the Florida Wildlife Study, given the presence of gopher tortoises.
Right.
Why are you saying the city has to do that and not you, given that you're the owner of the land?
Well, as the owner, we gave them permission to do all this stuff, but whatever's required of them to do for building there, they have to do. We're not going to fund that. We did a gopher tortoise study when Sugar Sand Park was built. It was very comprehensive. They detailed where they are. They detailed all the locations of them. You can see them sometimes passing through the street down by the ball fields. This is when I was over there like 10 years ago. So I don't know, like
Can we get it?
the study that was done when the park. Yeah. But yes, email me whatever you need and we will get you those documents. Yes.
Go ahead, Kathy.
Kathy Cottrell, 1015 Northwest 6th Terrace. I just had a follow-up question on your CRA comment. I thought it was interesting. Are there no contractual obligations for the city of Boca Raton to tell you to report back how the $3.1 million is being spent on recreational uses? That's one part. And then the second part is, how much longer will this board be required to pay to the city for CRA slated recreational use?
Unfortunately, the CRA was extended, I think, until 2042. So we are obligated to pay as long as the CRA exists. That's a Florida statute, that any agency that collects property taxes has to fund whatever CRA is in that area. So they got the 17-year extension. Now we're still on the hook for that. That's a huge chunk of money that we lose in recreation over the next 17 years of our existence. Was not happy about that, voiced my concerns. We tried, we went through the whole, there's a process you can follow in the statute, and the city set up their process as far as how we could apply to get an exemption from paying the CRA, because we wanted to use our money for recreation where we could see it being used in recreation. We went through a public hearing. Jacob and I, this was during 2020. Our attorney, Jacob Horowitz, and I went to them with a public hearing. We pleaded our case. We asked for several different things, even looking at the only changes that have been made in the last couple of years is that now, because we incorporate people that live outside of the city, now those people are also getting resident rates at the facilities in the city. So we got that adjusted. Is the city obligated to tell us how they spent that money? We can ask for that. They kind of mix the budget with their regular budget now, so it's not as broken out.
But I think that would be great to get an itemized list of where is that money going, because that does or has potentially contributed to the fact that we haven't been able to maintain some of our parks in that area.
I will say in the last 2 years, and again, this is when we got a new city manager, they have sought this board's opinions on how to use the money, and they've given some feedback of some of the projects that have been going towards those directives that the board has, but we have not gotten an itemized list. They're not required to per our agreement on that funding. But it's been a source of this board's concerns over the last years. I mean, we look at the recreation in the CRA area, and it's not comparable to some of the recreation outside of that area. So, we tried to get out of it. They didn't let us out. We could certainly continue to go through that process again and again, but I think they've made up their mind as far as what they would do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Nope. Okay, we'll close public comment and we'll continue. We're on the next.
You can approve, for the record, the resolution governing millage before you then approve and consider the resolution governing the budget.
We have to do the roll call on that.
Mhm.
The motion would be a motion to approve 2025-08.
We have roll call, Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang.
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, moving on to resolution number 2025-09.
With your permission, Madam Chair and members of the commission, I'd be happy to read the resolution into the record. You can then open the public hearing for purposes of public comment and then close the public hearing for consideration by the board with regard to the statutory obligation to adopt the budget, which is now charged by the millage rate you just adopted. This is resolution number 2025-09, which is a resolution of the Greater Boca Raton Beach and Park District of Palm Beach County, Florida, adopting the final budget for fiscal year 2025-2026 and providing for an effective date. And the contents of the resolution in short order indicates that the Greater Boca Raton Beach and Park District of Palm Beach County, Florida, set forth the appropriations and revenue estimates for the budget for fiscal year in the amount of 105 million, no, it's actually $1,980,400, and the end result of which is the budget, which is provided for to you in the backup, made available to the public. If approved by 2025-09 would be the budget for fiscal year 2025-2026, as also charged by the millage rate adopted by the prior resolution. Public hearing. Thank you, Mayor.
Move to approve resolution number 2025-09.
Second.
Okay.
And the public has a right to be heard, Madam Chair.
Yep. Public comment on this one, if anybody has anything? Nope. Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang.
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay,
Move to adjourn.
Second?
roll call.
Commissioner Ernst,
Yes.
Commissioner Engel,
Yes.
Commissioner Rollins.
Yes.
Commissioner Vogelsang.
Yes.
Commissioner Wright.
Yes.
Motion passed.
We are adjourned.